Update January 17, 2022. Press release. Balti Municipality Prosecutor's Office officially apologizes to Mr. George Pedig as regards the final and irrevocable acquittal of the sentence, pronounced by the Orhei District Court, headquarters, on November 30, 2021. Following the complete waiver of the accusation made by the state prosecutor, the prosecutor in the Orhei District Prosecutor's Office, Vadim Mokaiden, for the reason that the imputed deed does not meet the constitutive elements of the offenses provided by Art. 171 paragraph 1, and Art. 179 paragraph 2, of the Criminal Code, pursuant to the provisions of Art. 12 of Law No. 1545 of 25.02.1998 on the manner of repairing the damage caused by the illicit actions of the criminal investigation bodies, of the prosecutor's office and of the courts, I bring to Mr. George Pedig official apologies on behalf of the state, on behalf of the prosecutors and criminal prosecution officers who have investigated the criminal cases against you. Prosecutor, Deputy Chief Prosecutor of the Prosecutor's Office of Balti Alexandru Silak, January 17, 2022. If Moldova will exist as a country in 2024 and will not be occupied by the Russians. I think it is too early to talk about the year 2024, but in 2024 the mandates of the presidents of the Republic of Moldova, Romania, Poland, Ukraine, USA expire. I only wrote about these countries because the elections in these countries will lead to internal changes and changes in the directors of intelligence services in these countries. I think this term of the U.S. President, Joe Biden, is the first and last term, and he has no chance of becoming president for the second time. The presidents of Poland and Romania are in their second term and will not be able to run for a third time. The president of Poland and the president of Romania are suspected of abuse of office and will most likely appear before the judges. They only enjoy the immunity they have as president, but when their mandates expire, they will most likely be prosecuted in court. In 2023 they will begin to feel the contempt of people who are now still loyal. The chances for Maya Sandu to become president a second time are very low. Corruption, incompetence are the key words of Maya Sandu's leadership. She will remain in history only as the first woman to win the electoral elections in Moldova. The question I am asking myself now, if Moldova will exist as a country in 2024 and will not be occupied by the Russians. Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that he will not run for a second term, but the war in Ukraine with Russia changes everything, and Volodymyr Zelensky has an authoritarian attitude. It is difficult to say what Ukraine will look like in 2024, but during the war it is impossible to hold elections. Will peace negotiations be reached by 2024? One thing is clear. That the Russians will do their best to avoid defeat and the Ukrainians will do everything possible to regain their territory. Even if we will have it for short periods. Russians and Ukrainians will return to the battlefield until the Ukrainians surrender. Only the betrayal of Europeans and Americans could lead to such situations. Update December 30, 2022. It has already become very clear that Americans do not want to pass the polygraph test. Because Americans are involved in corruption schemes, and I am sure 1000% that they are involved in Nazi experiments, or at least they knew how to do Nazi experiments in refugee camps in Poland. I am also sure that they knew about the raped person. In the document addressed to the General Prosecutor's Office of Canada, the name of the person raped. This document I sent to over 600 ambassadors from several countries. I also know that the Poles, Romanians, and Americans protect the rapists and continue to promote them. The Poles are most interested in closing me in prison and not to find out the truth. Plop Andrei. My next book will be called, Why Canadians Are Not Americans and Why Poland is the Most Racist Country in Africa. It will be about the corruption and the Nazi experiments that the Poles do in the refugee camps. About rape, torture and enormous money that the Poles, Romanians, and Americans from Russians received. I will go to the end, and I will stop only when all the Poles, Polish, activists, security/intelligence, from the immigration service, all without exception, have collaborated with Romanians and Moldovans, all with no exception, in the summer and autumn of 2017 when I was an asylum seeker. The Germans know exactly that the person who was raped by Moldovans, because the raped person was treated in Germany, because if the doctors did not intervene, that person was to die. Because the Poles continue Nazi experiments and protect the Moldovan rapists and have done nothing until now that the culprits are closed, I decided that I will write a book and publish the Amazon. I am sure that the Americans will intervene, that this book will not be published, so that they are waiting for the prison. Update/January 4, 2023. There are reasonable suspicions that Americans and Romanians attack my sites and block me on social networks because they are interested in being isolated, without money, and going to the arms of the Russians. Since I am blocked on social networks, I am blocked and any attempt to earn money. I look at the amount of money I lost because of the Americans, and this is the minimum amount, because every day there were more visitors and more than 1,000 people were added to the Facebook page almost every week, and now I sit and I think, why are Americans blocking me? The Americans have blocked me until now. My LinkedIn profile, 2022, Facebook page with over 95,000 followers, 2017, which brought me €350 monthly, and from 2017 until now I should have received €23,000. YouTube channel, 2015, which brought me $100 to $120 monthly when I was a student at 2 faculties in Romania. Maybe monthly is not enough, but from 2015 until now I would have received at least $8,400. The American bank account that had a promotion: if a friend becomes a customer of this bank, I was supposed to receive $25, and I brought over 400 people, and still around $8,000 I was supposed to receive. The Americans with the Romanians and Moldovans, FSB branch from Moldova and Romania, are the main culprits of the fact that they want to isolate me and destroy me financially, morally, and physically. Okay, Americans might say they have nothing in common with this, but the question is, why don't you return my page now? Because this page still exists even if it has 78,000 likes. I tried all the methods to recover my page but without success. They do not want to return my page. How not to become a useful idiot or a Russian prostitute? I will take as an example a conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. I am neutral in this conflict and I do not take any part, and I am really indifferent to what is happening in the Caucasus. It is not my job. My enemies will meet the Azeris and invent all sorts of nonsense about me, that I support the Armenians, that I help them fight against the Azeris, and the Azeris will become my enemies, and then they, Romanians/Moldovans working for Russians, will meet with the Armenians and say that I am trying to be an Azeri spy and that I am an infiltrator or that I am their agent. There are so many possibilities that I will become an enemy for the Armenians as well. I become the enemy of the Azeris and the Armenians, and I will be fucked by the Azeris and the Armenians. It depends on the situation, the country where I am. If I were in Ukraine, they would try in every way to prove that I am the man of the Russians. They will try to destroy me with the hands of others, to make me as many enemies as possible. They will say that I said so, that I came for this, that I want to destroy them. Things I didn't say are things they invented. They will do the same with business people, with new people that I will meet. Any new person I meet become my enemy. They will try to bribe you, give you money, act in their best interests, and from the moment you start collaborating with them, take bribes or even give them money, you will become their bitch for the rest of your life. If anyone has said or written anything about or that I would have said so, please check all my social networks and website, and if you will not find that information on the site or on social networks, you should know that it is a deed invented by Russian spies from Moldova, Romania, or Poland. If you hear that I have said anything about you, please ask where he wrote about it on his social media or on the site, when he said it and in what context he said it. If someone attacks me at home or on the street, regardless of nationality, whether American, German, Romanian or Polish or of another nation, or for some reason, I will immediately consider that he was paid by the Russians to kill me, and I will do my best to defend myself. If I am at home and have the opportunity to call the police, I will do so. If I am attacked unexpectedly, I will defend myself with all my might, and I will act in accordance with the legislation in force to appear. I will use what I have at hand, a knife, an axe, a hammer to defend myself. Only one of us will survive. If someone attacks me on the street, I will consider him a Russian spy, and again the same situation. If I have the opportunity to call the police, I will call, but if I am taken by surprise, I will put a pencil in your throat or in your eyes, and I will use all the skills to defend myself. If someone tries to provoke me or shout at me, it will be the first signal that you have been paid by the Russians, and I will try to leave, but if you continue to shout or follow me, I will consider that you have been paid by the Russians. If the Moldovan intelligence services or the intelligence and security services, the Moldovan FSB branch, will attack me on the street or at home after 11 p.m., I will consider that you want to kidnap me. What Americans can't afford in the US, they can afford in countries like Eastern Europe. Corruption is also in America, only there it is called a lobby, and the Americans take bribes abroad because none of them will dare to go against the Americans, even if some of them are corrupt, stupid, and blackmailed by the Russians.